The series begins with a girl named Gina walking through school with her hands in casts. At the same time, all the students are staring at her in amazement. Some of them are laughing and mocking her. Gina feels embarrassed by their looks, even though she had always wished someone would notice or look at her. We then flash back to 2 days earlier, specifically at the summer camp party organized by the school. Gina is sitting alone, watching her classmate Maddie Mackibin, whom she has a crush on and wishes to talk to. Maddie is a popular student, and all the girls love him. At that moment, Maddie notices her and winks at her. Gina can't believe that he winked at her, and she gets very nervous, causing her to spill juice on the classmate sitting in front of her. She tries to apologize for what happened. Later, Gina and Maddie meet alone. Gina suggests to Maddie that they go together to the student orientation week organized by the school. However, Maddie politely declines, telling her that she is just a friend and that he has no romantic feelings for her. He doesn't want anyone to know he likes her and asks her not to tell anyone they met alone. Gina is shocked by his words. Gina returns home and finds her mother, Lacey, handing her a letter that came in the mail. She takes the letter to her room, sits at her laptop, and tries to write on her blog about what happened to her on the worst day of her life. At the same moment, her friend Tamara calls. When Gina tells her what happened with Maddie, Tamara says she felt that Maddie would do that to her because he is handsome and popular, and all the girls at school love him. It is impossible for him to be in a relationship with an unknown and unpopular girl like Gina. Gina is upset by her words, but stays silent. After finishing the call with Tamara, she remembers the letter her mother gave her. She takes it to the bathroom and opens it to read. The letter is from an unknown person, telling her that she needs to stop being afraid and show herself to people. Gina feels sad because what is written in the letter is true. She opens her laptop and writes about her feelings and sadness on her blog. She then goes back to the bathroom to take her sedative pill. Suddenly, she chokes while swallowing the pill, causing the pill bottle to fall to the floor. At the same time, she slips and falls hard on her shoulder and neck. We then see Gina in bed, in casts. Her parents think she was trying to commit suicide. Gina is shocked as it was just an accident. After some time, Gina returns to school. As soon as the students see her in casts, start talking about her and mocking her appearance. No one believes that what happened to her was just an accident. Everyone believes the suicide story, even though she tried to explain what really happened many times. However, everyone insists on believing the suicide story. She then goes to sit in the bathroom alone, away from people. At that moment, Sadie and her friend Lisa enter the bathroom. They start talking about Gina and what happened to her, saying that she tried to commit suicide just to get attention. Gina hears them. When they notice her presence in the bathroom, Sadie deliberately mocks and bothers her more. Afterward, Gina is with her friends Tamara and Ming, who leave her because they have a class. During this time, Gina sees Maddie with his friends. They keep looking at each other from a distance. At that moment, Gina hears the principal calling her over the loudspeakers. Gina goes to the principal's office, and we learn that her name is Valerie. Gina notices that Valerie also believes she tried to commit suicide. Valerie takes Gina's bag to make sure there are no sharp objects or pills in it. During the break, Jake, one of the students, announces a competition. Sadie and Maddie participated, so Gina decides to join the competition as well. Everyone is surprised by her decision. Competition is a challenge to see who can switch clothes with another person the fastest. Sadie and Maddie are on one team, while Gina is on another team with one of her classmates. When the competition starts, Gina and her teammate manage to win. Everyone applauds her, making her very happy. However, she sees Sadie crying and asks her friends why. They tell her Sadie is upset because her body is bigger than Maddie's and she couldn't switch clothes with him. Gina feels bad for her and goes to console her, but Sadie treats her badly and mocks her. At that moment, Maddie arrives but is afraid to talk to Gina because of Sadie and her friends, who would make fun of him for talking to her. He walks away with them, ignoring Gina. Jake then talks to Gina and tells her not to let Sadie undermine her confidence because Sadie is a mean girl who always pretends to be the victim. When Gina returns home, she opens her laptop and finds many friend requests on her personal account, including ones from Maddie and Jake. She feels very happy, starts to feel she is becoming popular at school. The next morning, Gina sits down to write her blog as she does every day. Afterwards, she looks at pictures of Maddie, wishing they could be together and that he would talk to her in front of everyone without being embarrassed. Her mother interrupts her thoughts to remind her that they have to go to the doctor because today is the day her cast comes off. At the doctor's office, Gina is accompanied by her friends Tamara and Ming. Her mother asks the doctor if the cast has deformed Gina's hand. Gina gets very anxious and scared, asking her mother to stop imagining such things because it frightens her. Suddenly, Gina faints just as the doctor starts to remove the cast. When she wakes up, the cast is off, but she finds that the doctor has put her arm in a sling designed like a cartoon character. Gina asks Ming and Tamara how they could let him put her in a child's sling. They tell her it was the only one available. She'll only have to wear it for a week. They also mention that It's a special sling because it glows in the dark, which makes Gina annoyed by their silliness. The next day at school, Gina hides her sling to avoid being teased. When she sees Maddie, she gets lost in thought. Maddie and Jake approach her to check on her arm after the cast removal. At that moment, Sadie arrives and mocks Gina as usual, then walks away. Gina then notices that Sadie's skirt is lifted. She tries to alert her to fix it, but the whole school laughs at Sadie. Sadie gets very angry at Gina, thinking she deliberately made their classmates laugh at her. Later, Sadie tries to tell Lisa that her boyfriend Jake has a crush on Gina. Lisa is shocked by what she hears. Sadie then suggests they get revenge on Gina by photographing her while she's changing clothes. When Lisa takes the photo, Sadie takes Lisa's phone and sends the picture to the entire school. Suddenly, Gina finds all the students gathered around a large picture of her changing clothes hanging on the wall. She is shocked and very upset. At that moment, she hears Maddie making fun of her appearance, which makes her even more distressed. Tamara and Ming try to comfort Gina about what happened and advise her to ignore it so that everyone will forget. As school ends, Jake and Lisa are walking home together. Jake notices that Gina's mother is late picking her up and decides to offer her a ride. Lisa gets very upset. When they get in the car, Jake has Gina sit in the front seat next to him, making Lisa even more annoyed. Jake tries to reassure Gina about what happened with the photo, telling her that she needs to find out who did this so they can be expelled and punished. Lisa becomes very nervous and tries to change the subject. When Gina returns home, her mother tries to comfort her and make her forget what happened. She tells Gina that bullying happens to everyone and that someone might take pictures of their classmates and spread them around the school, just like what happened to her. She shares that it happened to her when she was in school, but she became a much better person because of it. The next day at school, Gina and Sadie are in Principal Valerie's office. Sadie confesses to Valerie that she was the one who took the picture of Gina while she was changing clothes. When Valerie asks her why she did it, Sadie claims it was an accident and that she didn't mean to. However, Valerie doesn't believe her. Sadie then decides to turn the tables on them and accuses them of conspiring against her, saying they agreed not to believe her and to hurt her feelings. Valerie, unsettled by Sadie's manipulative tactics, tries to calm her down because Sadie is very skilled at playing the victim. Gina is shocked that Valerie so easily surrendered to Sadie and feared her. When Gina returns home, her father, Kevin, sits with her, tries to be supportive, encouraging her to always believe in herself and if everyone else mocks her. Later, Tamara calls Gina. Gina decides to tell her that she once went out with Maddie alone, but he asked her not to tell anyone. Tamara is shocked by this news. At that moment, Gina hears Maddie knocking on her balcony. She lets him in and he tells her he took down all her pictures that were posted around the school. He apologizes for what he said about her and explains that he didn't mean to mock her. He then admits that he has a crush on her. Gina is overjoyed at this moment. The next day at school, Tamara is with Gina, expresses her happiness about Gina and Maddie being together. Gina tells her that Maddie invited her to a party that Lisa is throwing. Tamara is very surprised, tells Gina that she will go with her to the party because it's their chance to become known and popular. They can take pictures at the party and post them on their personal accounts. Meanwhile, Sadie is planning with Lisa because she wants to make Maddie fall for her and spend the whole party with him. She advises Lisa to pay more attention to Jake and charm him so she doesn't lose him. In the evening, Tamara is with Gina at her house. Gina decides she won't go to the party to make Maddie miss her and become more attached to her. Tamara doesn't like this idea and tells Gina that if she doesn't go, Sadie will have the opportunity to steal Maddie from her easily. At that moment, Gina's mom, Lacey, comes in. Tamara tells her that Gina has changed her mind, doesn't want to go to the party with Maddie. Lacey is surprised by Gina's decision. After some discussion, Lacey successfully convinces Gina to go to the party and be with Maddie. Lacey then drives them to the party. When Gina and Tamara arrive at the party together, they are surprised to see that the number of attendees is very limited. When Sadie sees them at the party, she gets extremely upset and furious. She approaches Gina with Lisa to find out who invited her to the party. Maddie responds, informing them that he was the one who invited Gina. This makes Sadie even angrier, and she storms off, leaving them behind. Gina feels very happy at that moment because Maddie finally acknowledged in front of everyone that he invited her to the party and didn't deny her presence like he usually does. However, he then leaves her and goes to his friends, which makes Gina feel puzzled. Gina goes over to Maddie to talk to her, but she notices that his conversation with her is very limited. He doesn't talk to her much. He doesn't even introduce her to his friends, which makes her even more confused about the nature of their relationship. Sadie then approaches them, mocks Gina, and takes Maddie away. Gina decides to sit alone. Jake joins her and tells her that the party is to celebrate the anniversary of his relationship with Lisa. Gina is surprised to learn that he and Lisa have been together for a year, but Jake laughs and tells her that they have only been together for 3 months. months, not a year. When Lisa passes by, she is shocked to see Jake sitting alone with Gina, becomes very jealous. She goes over to Jake and keeps hugging him in front of Gina. Gina then gets up and leaves them alone. Meanwhile, Sadie is following Maddie everywhere and bothering him. Fed up with her, he decides to leave and goes to find Gina. This angers Sadie. She becomes very upset. When Gina sees Maddie coming to talk to her, she feels very happy. But as soon as his friends come over, he stops talking to her as if he doesn't know her. Gina stands there, bewildered by his behavior. Gina is even more shocked and upset when she sees Maddie in the swimming pool with another girl. They are very close. At that moment, Sadie stands next to Gina and tells her that she should just go home and cry on her bed. Gina then goes to sit alone, away from everyone, so no one can see her crying. Suddenly, she sees Jake has also left the party. She asks him why he left, and he tells her that he's leaving for good and offers her a ride home. Gina immediately agrees because she wants to leave. On the way, Gina and Jake are happy and laughing as they talk. They seem very comfortable with each other. At the same time, Gina receives a message from Maddie asking if she left the party, but Gina decides not to respond and ignores it, continuing her conversation with Jake. The next day at school, Gina is sitting with Ming and Tamara. Tamara decides to tell Ming about Gina's relationship with Maddie. Ming is shocked by the news and upset with Gina for keeping it from her. Gina explains that she won't go out with Maddie again until he defines the nature of their relationship. A little later, Maddie talks to Gina, apologizing for how he treated her at the party and explaining that he was in a rush. He leaves quickly because he's in a hurry. Afterward, Ming talks to Gina, asking if she resolved her relationship with Maddie. Gina tells her that they talked briefly and that she will be going out with him that evening to the bonfire night. Ming is surprised and reminds Gina that she said she wouldn't go out with him again until he clarified their relationship. At that moment, Michelle walks by and overhears Gina talking about going to the bonfire night with Maddie. Gina quickly leaves Ming to go find Maddie and discuss their relationship. Jake stops her to talk. As she tries to escape from him, a passing car splashes water on her clothes. That evening, Gina goes to the bonfire night and meets Tamara and Ming there. Ming stays with Gina the entire time to help her stay strong when she sees Maddie. Ming tells Gina that she lied to her parents, saying she was going to study so she could attend the bonfire. Ming is still upset with Gina for telling Tamara about Maddie before her. Suddenly, Ming's mom arrives at the party and scolds her for lying about studying and takes her home. Gina is left in shock, worried about the punishment Ming might face from her mother. Later, Maddie takes Gina away from the party and they go for a walk together. Gina asks Maddie to define their relationship because she can't figure out if they are together or not. Maddie tells her that he likes her a lot because she loves being herself and doesn't care about what others think. However, he is not ready for a serious relationship right now. Gina is shocked and upset by his words, feeling rejected. However, she hides her feelings and pretends she isn't bothered, telling Maddie she has no problem with what he said. Maddie is relieved, happy. When Gina returns home, she calls Ming and honestly tells her why she didn't share about Maddie earlier. She was afraid of being judged. Ming assures her that she wasn't judging her. She just prefers hearing the truth. Gina replies, saying that hearing the truth can be hard. She tells Ming that she talked to Maddie, and he said he's not interested in a serious relationship with her. Ming responds by saying that Maddie is a weirdo and doesn't deserve her love or someone like her. To cheer Gina up and make her laugh, Ming tells her about her parents' punishment, putting a dog collar around her neck so they can catch her when she leaves the house. Gina laughs at this. The next day, Lacey drives her daughter Gina to school and tells her that she needs to change her style, wear nice clothes that suit her age, and be fashionable because her clothes are outdated. Gina gets out of the car and sees Maddie getting out of his car at the same moment. She wishes they could walk into school together, but is shocked and very upset when she sees that Maddie has a girl with him. They walk in together. Gina realizes that when Maddie said he wasn't ready for a relationship, he meant he wasn't ready for one with her specifically. Later, Gina is running with Ming and Tamara, and she tells them about what she saw that morning. The girl she mentioned is sitting nearby, and when they see her, they make fun of her striking appearance and tell Gina that she could look better if she took care of herself like that girl does. During the break, Gina is sitting with Tamara, still upset about seeing Maddie with the other girl. However, she decides to forget about it since they aren't even in a relationship. Tamara then leaves. Gina notices a student named Kyle wearing a t-shirt with her name on it and the word suicide underneath. She angrily confronts him, demanding he take off the t-shirt because she never attempted suicide, nor would she encourage it. Kyle tells her that Gina is the name of his favorite band and the t-shirt has nothing to do with her, but Gina doesn't believe him and goes to Principal Valerie to complain. Valerie tells Gina that she's overreacting and that Kyle probably didn't mean her. Afterward, Gina talks to Maddie to clarify that she never tried to commit suicide. Maddie is surprised that she brought up the topic. Gina notices while with Tamara and Ming, the t-shirt is spreading all over the school and many students are wearing it. She angrily goes to Kyle because she realizes he is selling the t-shirt at school. She demands that he take it off and stop selling it to the students. Kyle refuses to take it off, so Gina attacks him and forcibly removes the t-shirt. All the students gather around to watch what's happening. Valerie sees Gina removing Kyle's t-shirt and decides to punish her with detention. When Gina goes to the detention room, she's surprised to find many students there, including Maddie's girlfriend and Jake. As soon as Valerie leaves them alone, all the students start sneaking out of the room and leaving the school. Maddie's girlfriend, Olivia, walks with Gina and Jake, introducing herself to them. Olivia tells Gina that Valerie won't know they sneaked out because it's her break time. Gina asks Olivia why she was punished. Olivia explains that she skipped her history class. During this time, Olivia receives a call and answers it, sounding angry and upset. Gina assumes it's Maddie and waits for Olivia to finish the call to find out who she was arguing with and why. Olivia reveals it was her ex-boyfriend who wants to get back together with her, but she doesn't want to because he is unpredictable, loving her one day and not the next. Gina realizes that she was just a backup for Maddie, and that's why he lost interest in her when he got back together with Olivia. After Olivia leaves, Jake comes back to Gina with some juice. Gina talks to him about her feelings, expressing how upset she is because everyone thinks she tried to commit suicide. She also mentions that she loves someone who doesn't love her back, and that he has a girlfriend, which he didn't tell her about. When Jake asks for his name, Gina refuses to tell him. Later at school, Jake approaches Gina to talk. He tells her that she is beautiful and that any guy would be lucky to have her love and be with her. He then hugs her, and Gina realizes that Jake likes her, especially when he suddenly leans in and kisses her. When Gina returns home, she finds out that Valerie informed her parents about what happened at school. They tell her that what she did was wrong and that problems can't be solved with fighting. Gina goes to her room and writes in her blog about her day and everything that happened, feeling anxious and confused about what's going on with her. The next day at school, Gina approaches Kyle to talk to him and apologizes for attacking him in her anger. She gives him money to buy the band t-shirt and tells him she didn't know there was a band named Gina. As soon as Gina leaves, it's revealed that Kyle has many pictures of Gina in his locker. Later, during lunch break, Gina is surprised when Olivia invites her to sit with her. Gina leaves her friends and joins Olivia. At the same time, Maddie joins them and asks if they know each other. Olivia excuses herself to get a drink. Gina tells Maddie that she and Olivia met in detention and asks how he knows Olivia. He surprises her by saying that Olivia is his brother's girlfriend. Gina feels very happy and relieved that Maddie doesn't have a girlfriend. The next day, Lacey forces her daughter Gina to accompany her to a charity event to recruit new members for the association because she is obsessed with the women in the association and wants to be one of them. Lacey tries to get Gina to mingle with people. Suddenly, Gina discovers they are at Sadie's house. Sadie, as usual, starts to bother her. Gina is also surprised to see Matt, who is volunteering at the event and serving drinks. When Sadie sees Maddie talking to Gina, she rushes over to take him away. Tamara arrives to warn Gina that there is an insult written on the name tag pinned to her blouse instead of her name. Gina removes the tag, feeling upset. At the same time, Sadie approaches her and says that to be kind, one must be cruel. Gina and Tamara are shocked to realize that Sadie was the one writing the anonymous letters Gina received, as that phrase was in one of the letters. Then, Darlene, Sadie's mother, talks to Gina and is very kind to her, even though she was enemies with Gina's mom in high school. At the same time, Lacey is talking to Sadie, and Sadie asks if Gina suffers from mental retardation. Lacey is shocked by her question. Gina then meets Maddie again in the kitchen, but is surprised to see Jake there as a volunteer as well. Both Gina and Jake feel very tense when they see each other. Lisa arrives and asks Gina to leave because she doesn't want her talking to her boyfriend. Gina leaves immediately, feeling puzzled. When Lisa is away from Jake and Maddie, Jake decides to confess to Maddie that he likes Gina and kissed her at school 2 days ago. Maddie is shocked and visibly upset. Meanwhile, Tamara takes Gina to Sadie's room. They find Sadie's journal and decide to take it to read. Just then, Lisa walks in and asks why they are in the room. Nervously, they tell her they were just fixing their clothes and appearance in the mirror. Lisa believes them. When Gina gets home, she hesitates, but ultimately decides to read Sadie's journal, feeling that Sadie doesn't deserve her respect. She discovers that the journal is actually Sadie's food diary with her weight written in it. The next day at school, Gina tells Ming and Tamara what she found in the journal. They advise her to use it against Sadie because it's the only thing that could really hurt her, as Sadie hates people knowing her weight. Gina agrees, but realizes she needs a plan to make sure no one finds out she stole Sadie's journal. Meanwhile, at Sadie's house, her mother scolds her for gaining weight, causing Sadie to break down in tears because she's unhappy with her body. She feels like she's the only overweight girl at school. At school, Maddie talks to Jake about what he told him regarding Gina. He asks if Jake genuinely likes her, if she likes him back. Jake is surprised by his questions. Maddie feels awkward, but explains that he wants to help and give Jake advice. The next day, Sadie and Lisa enter the bathroom and notice Gina's bag, realizing she is there. Sadie intentionally talks about the charity event outfits, suggesting that wearing fancy dresses will increase the chances of becoming members of her mother's charity association. Gina immediately tells her mom what she overheard. They both dress up in evening gowns for the charity event, only to find everyone else in jeans and blouses. It becomes clear that this was another one of Sadie's tricks to embarrass Gina and her mother, making them look out of place. Lacey is furious with Gina, but Gina tries to explain that this was what she heard from Sadie, and it seems Sadie knew Gina was listening and set them up. However, her mother doesn't believe her. Back home, Gina decides to prepare her revenge against Sadie. The next day at school, Gina talks to Sadie and tells her that she has her food and weight journal. Gina threatens to publish everything she knows about Sadie online unless she ensures Gina's mom becomes a member of the association. Shocked, Sadie agrees to Gina's demand, making Lacey a member of the association. Gina returns the journal to Sadie and asks her about the anonymous letters. Sadie denies any involvement, saying she wouldn't be afraid to sign her name on a letter. Gina believes her. As she walks away, she receives 2 messages simultaneously, one from Jake and the other from Maddie, both wanting to hang out. Gina replies to Jake, ignores Maddie. At the same time, Maddie is with Jake, is shocked that Gina responded to Jake, but not to him. Gina realizes that she shouldn't expect anything from Maddie anymore, and acknowledges that her own weakness and love for him allowed him to treat her in secret. The next day at school, the administration announces the annual play to raise awareness against drunk driving. They reveal the students chosen to act in the play, including Jake and Gina. Gina is shocked because she doesn't like acting or theater. Gina tells Ming and Tamara that she is thinking about backing out of the play. Try to convince her to go through with it and give it a try, but Gina insists on not participating and walks away. Gina then meets Jake, who says he's happy they'll be acting together in the play. Gina tells him she was on her way to Valerie's office to withdraw from the role and have them find a replacement. Jake asks if she's been upset with him since he confessed his feelings for her. She says she's forgotten about it and advises him that they should just be friends. Gina decides to be a hard-to-get girl so that any guy would have to work hard to win her over. Gina goes to Valerie's office and tells her she can't participate in the play, suggesting that her friend Tamara take her place because she really wants to act. Gina adds that her parents wouldn't allow her to play a dead girl. However, Valerie insists that Gina take on the role and give acting a try. That evening, Gina is having dinner with her parents when Valerie unexpectedly visits them. She sits with Gina's parents to discuss the play and Gina's role in, mentioning she understands their reluctance to let Gina play a dead girl. Kevin and Lacey are surprised because they didn't know anything about the play. Gina is upset that her lie is uncovered, but Lacey becomes excited and enthusiastic about the idea, telling Valerie that she agrees with Gina participating in the play. Gina tries to convince her dad not to agree, but he tells her that it's a great role and she'll do well in it. Afterward, Gina goes up to her room and writes in her blog about what happened and how her dad's advice isn't helping her. At the same time, Gina receives a message from Maddie. She gets dressed and decides to go to his house to tell him she loves him. Suddenly, Maddie's brother Jim, who is drunk and not in his right mind, starts hitting on Gina and praises Maddie for having a beautiful girl. When Jim asks if she is Maddie's girlfriend, Maddie stays silent and doesn't answer. He then makes Jim go inside and shuts the door in Gina's face. Gina is shocked and very upset that she went to see Maddie, as he once again ignored her. At school, Gina tells Tamara what happened, and then she goes to Jake to practice their lines for the play. Jake brings up that Gina has been distant with him lately, but just then, Valerie walks in and continues their rehearsal. Later, Maddie talks to Gina and apologizes for what happened with his brother Jim. Gina notices that Maddie is looking around while talking to her, realizing he still doesn't want anyone to see them together and is afraid his friends will mock him if they know they are in a relationship. Gina tells him she's tired of his behavior and walks away, angry. On the day of the play, Jake is very nervous, but he and Gina, along with their classmates, perform well. The audience claps for them, and Gina feels happy and popular, seeing everyone's attention on her. The next day, Tamara is at Gina's house when Lacey's close friend Allie arrives. Gina Gina is immediately annoyed because Allie is strange and reckless with an odd behavior. Allie notices that Gina seems gloomy and decides to throw a party at the house, which excites Lacey and Tamara, but Gina is not happy about it. At the same time, Maddie calls Gina, telling her he got an invitation to a party at her house that night and decided to come. Gina realizes that Allie and her mom sent the invitation, then tells her mom and Allie that she agrees to the party. As they dress up and get ready, Allie tells Gina that her outfit isn't nice and doesn't suit her, suggesting she change. Allie helps her choose a dress, and when she sees Gina is nervous, she gives her a sedative pill. When the party starts, the house is full of people, and Gina, wearing a dress for the first time, looks different and beautiful. The next day, Gina wakes up without remembering anything from the party. She tries to call Tamara to ask what happened, but Tamara doesn't answer. Gina discovers that social media is filled with pictures from her party, showing everyone drunk and in strange poses. Her mom enters the room, asking her to come down quickly to help clean up with Allie before her dad comes home and finds out what they did in his absence. Afterward, Gina starts to remember some things from the party, realizing she was very drunk and not herself. She recalls getting close to both Maddie and Jake simultaneously, even Ricky, Tamara's boyfriend. This realization makes her feel very ashamed. At the same time, Lacey is upset with Ally and argues with her, as everything that happened at the party was due to Ally and the pills she gave them. Meanwhile, Jake goes to Gina to return her father's shirt, which she had messed up while drunk. He tells her that she talked to him about his feelings for her, that they agreed to just be friends. Gina is confused and doesn't remember anything she said. Gina then goes to her room and sends a message to Maddie, telling him she found his cap at her place, apologizing if she did anything wrong at the party since she wasn't herself. At that moment, Ming calls her to check on her after seeing the party photos on social media. Later, Ally apologizes to Lacey for giving Gina the pills. Lacey accepts her apology. Gina goes to Tamara's house to apologize for what happened with Ricky. She explains that she was under the influence of the pills Ally gave her. However, Tamara is very angry and refuses to accept her apology. She reveals that she was the one sending the anonymous letters and tells Gina that from now on she considers her dead and non-existent. The next day, Gina feels depressed, doesn't want to go to school. When she opens her social media account, she finds she has gained 300 followers and has become very popular since the party. However, she doesn't feel happy, despite having once wished for this. She closes her laptop and goes back to sleep. Suddenly, her parents come in with a small cake and a candle to celebrate her birthday. Gina blows out the candle and goes back to sleep. The next day, Gina goes to school. She sees Tamara. She tries to talk to her, but Tamara walks away. Sadie approaches Gina to mock her and taunt her about her situation. Gina then goes to Valerie's office and asks for sick leave to go home. But Valerie understands that Gina is lying because she isn't really sick. During the break, Gina is sitting alone, eating. Jake comes over, surprised to see her by herself. He asks if she will watch the regional playoffs, but she tells him she doesn't like football. Suddenly, Valerie arrives with a birthday cake for Gina, intending to celebrate with all her classmates. Gina feels embarrassed and upset. Afterward, Gina goes to watch the school's football team match. Sitting alone, Jake and Maddie come over and sit next to her. Seeing this, Sadie becomes very jealous and upset. When Gina leaves, Sadie approaches her and warns her to stay away from Maddie or anyone she knows, telling her that Maddie and Jake are only being nice to her out of pity. Sadie then spills juice on Gina and walks away. Gina is sitting alone, waiting for her mom to pick her up when Jake, Maddie, and Sadie see her. Jake offers her a ride, but Sadie remarks that Jake shouldn't feel obliged to give Gina a ride every time just because she waits for her mom every day. Maddie then intervenes, saying he will give Gina a ride, which annoys Sadie. Gina gets up and leaves with Maddie. On the way, Maddie apologizes to Gina for always being afraid to acknowledge their relationship publicly. They agree to just be friends. When Gina gets home, her mom surprises her with a completely redecorated room, making Gina very happy. Later, Gina is surprised when Maddie knocks on her balcony. She lets him in, and he tells her he wants to spend time with her for her birthday. The next day at school, Gina sees a big fight with everyone watching. She goes closer to see what's happening and is shocked to find Lisa fighting with Jake. The fight started because Lisa found out that Jake kissed Gina and confessed his feelings for her. Suddenly, Lisa attacks Gina, slaps her. Valerie arrives and takes Lisa to her office. Tamara goes to comfort Gina, making Gina happy that Tamara talked to her. However, Tamara clarifies that she's only consoling her as a normal person, that it doesn't mean they are friends again. Gina then goes to Ming and asks her to arrange a meeting with Tamara because she wants to talk and resolve their issue. Ming agrees to try. At that moment, Maddie approaches Gina and and asks her to go out with him that night. Gina laughs without giving a clear answer. After school, Ming brings Tamara to meet Gina as requested. Gina talks to Tamara, expressing her desire to be friends again and move past the incident. Tamara confesses that she lied about being the sender of the anonymous letters because she was angry, wanted to hurt Gina. They hug and reconcile. Tamara then tells Gina that Maddie is the one sending the anonymous letters, but Gina finds it hard to believe, thinks it's not Maddie. Tamara and Ming tell Gina she is blinded by her love for Maddie, preventing her from seeing the truth. Afterward, Gina returns home to get ready for her date with Maddie. Tamara and Ming are with her, trying to convince her not to go out with him, but Gina sees all their suspicions as mere doubts without proof. Later, Jake arrives at Gina's house to pick her up, and they drive together. When Gina realizes he wants to take her to a faraway place, she remembers Tamara and Ming's suspicions about Maddie, starts to feel uneasy. When they reach their destination, Maddie's uncle welcomes them and tells Gina that Maddie has never brought a girl to this place before, which makes Gina very happy. Gina and Maddie return home together, where Tamara and Ming are waiting for Gina. Tamara suggests they play a question game. As the game begins, Gina feels nervous and afraid that Tamara and Ming might ask Maddie anything about the letters. Meanwhile, Lisa and Sadie are with Jake in the car. They ask him to deliver a message to Gina and read it himself. Jake goes to Gina, but apologizes for Lisa hitting her and tells her she's a good person. He then returns to Lisa and breaks up with her after reading the message she wanted him to give to Gina. During this time, Gina is having a romantic moment with Maddie, is very happy with him. The next day, Maddie is invited to Gina's house to meet her parents. They spend the day together. At school, Ricky talks to Tamara and asks her to go to the dance with him. She agrees immediately, even though they had just fought. Gina then wonders if Maddie will ask her to the dance. Jake later talks to Gina and asks her to go to the dance with him, but she shyly declines, saying she's going with someone else. Jake feels disappointed, but tells her that the guy she's going with is very lucky. Jake then tells Maddie what happened and that he's shocked Gina refused to go to the dance with him despite feeling she liked him. He asks Maddie who he will take to the dance, and Maddie, feeling very nervous, lies and says he hasn't decided yet. Gina finds out she's been nominated to be the prom queen and excitedly calls her mom to share the news. When she goes to submit her paperwork, she discovers that the anonymous letters have been printed and spread all over the school. She is bewildered by how her letters ended up at the school, and everyone mocks her. Feeling upset, Gina sits in the school garden. Jake sits next to her, telling her that the person who wrote those letters is just a pathetic loser. He tries to comfort and cheer her up. Later, Maddie talks to Gina and suggests they skip the prom and celebrate alone. Gina realizes he still wants to keep their relationship a secret because he's embarrassed by her. After some thought, Gina decides to confront him. She tells him she's going to the prom with him and won't let him treat her as a secret anymore, calling him a coward and a jerk. Meanwhile, Valerie confronts Sadie and tells her she will be punished for stealing Gina's letters from her locker and printing them. She bans Sadie from attending the prom. The next day at school, Gina asks Jake to go to the prom with her. He is surprised, but happily agrees. The following day, Gina goes to the hairdresser with her mom, feeling annoyed because her mom chooses a hairstyle she likes. Tamara is also at the hairdresser and tells Gina she's not going to the prom with Ricky because he cheated on her. Gina invites Tamara to join her and Jake at the prom. Gina calls Jake and informs him that Tamara will be joining them, and Jake reluctantly agrees. Back at home, Gina finds her mom giving her a special dress that she had kept for Gina to wear when she grew up. Seeing Gina in the dress makes her mom emotional, as she can't believe her little girl is all grown up. Gina is also moved by her mom's words. Prom, Gina arrives with Tamara and her friends, including Jake. Lisa is very upset when she sees Jake and Gina taking pictures together. Lisa goes to the bathroom to let Sadie into the prom through the window. Just then, Gina and Tamara walk in, preventing Sadie from entering. Gina talks to Lisa kindly. Lisa realizes that Gina is actually a good person and that she and Sadie have been mean to her. After Gina leaves the bathroom, Sadie argues with Lisa for being nice to Gina. Lisa then shuts the window, preventing Sadie from getting in. Sadie then bribes another student with money to sneak her into the prom. Sadie eventually manages to get into the prom. When she sees Valerie, she taunts her, saying there's nothing she can do to ruin her night. In a fit of anger, Valerie spills juice on Sadie, ruining her dress. Valerie then goes to the stage to announce the prom king and queen. After the prom, Jake drives Gina home. She feels happy about her relationship with Jake and his attention to her. At home, Gina is shocked when she opens her mom's drawer, finds copies of the anonymous letters she received. She realizes that her mom was the one sending her the letters, leaving her deeply stunned.